There we
All
go.
right, we're live again. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Some technical difficulties. Um, and we're back again. What were we talking about? We were talking about that Muslim dude beating up his wife. Fucking Canadian.
Yes. Uh, hey, it's not our fault. Well, it's our government's fault for not making it clear that you're not allowed to do that shit. Like I was saying, there's enclaves of people who will do things like FGM and hide it because they think that their religious shit is more important than our actual laws. And I think that's where Patrick was saying that you had to
Yeah, I was
be
saying that it's not the laws. It's the lack of humanity, the lack of empathy in the person's brain. I was like, he thinks, I'm gonna just do this anyway. I don't give a fuck what he's just gonna beat on his kids and wife and shit. And he thinks that's cool.
Well, that's because God says it's okay. So
his excuse, or if he really believes that, I'm not sure. Maybe a combination of both, but
I think it's both. I think a lot of these people do really believe that they're entitled to act that way because their stupid holy book says that, man's head of the family and man basically owns his family and yada, yada, yada.
Well, I think they use the religion as an excuse, maybe, but because there's a lot of terrible people out there, completely American and non-Muslim and totally unreligious people out there that are real scumbags that'll do this.
Oh, they are too, absolutely, and they have to work harder to come up with an excuse for sure. But those who've been religiously indoctrinated, like those guys, I don't know about this particular, guy. He sounds like a real scumbag. But there are people who are raised in an environment where they're taught that you are the quote lord of your house, and this goes for all of the Abrahamics, not just the Muslims, but it's a highly held ideology in Christianity too, for sure, and Judaism. That the man is in charge of the family, and the man is answerable to only to God. And so the man is responsible for keeping shit the way God wants it. So he's entitled to do these things. And if you're grown up as a young boy who's taught that your whole life, you're going to grow up. And even though you may not inherently be a bad person, you're taught that this is how you are a good person because God's always good, right? So this is how you're taught that this is how to be a good person, that you have to keep.
Yes and no. I mean, it's a bad person teaching their own kids to be bad. Really.
Well,
I mean,
there is an element of that. Like, I'm not saying.
I was giving you the example of that little girl, for example, I was teaching chess to. Now, the mother and father, or I don't know if they were evangelistic or they do that. They try to convert you and everything. But these are wonderful people, and I'm sure that they don't teach their kids that way because the kids are just not that way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and there are absolutely,
I'm sure there's good things in the Bible that they find that teach them the good side of whatever religion is supposed to be. But it's the archaic stuff. It's the archaic, man himself from the Dark Ages.
Yeah,
always felt, I'm better than women kind of. These are the kind of people.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
The kind of that wrote the book.
I'm not denying that there's an element of that at all. But if you look at, like, for instance, the family you're talking about, they're deeply religious, but very moralistic people who are good people. And I always say that those people, even though their religious fervor may be really
annoying,
legitimate, wrong, yes, but it might be legitimate, they honestly are trying to be the best at their religion that they can be. When you get to those people that, like, for instance, the people that will argue you until they're blue in the face that the Quranic verse that says beat your wife doesn't really mean beat your wife, those are good people, but they're not good Muslims. And the Christians that say, God doesn't command anything bad, and, by their fruits you will know them, and those aren't real Christians, blah, 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 blah. They're really good people, but they're not good Christians because they're not following the ideology the way it was meant to be followed. And that opens a whole other can of worms. Like I always get into, why the fuck is there an interpretation in the first place if God is omnipotent and perfect? There shouldn't be an interpretation.
Well, I'm a son of a bitch of an atheist. So I don't believe any of that crap. But the thing is, I'm desperately trying to separate, the excuse givers for using the religion from the actual people. And
for sure.
And I still believe that if religion was never invented on this planet, which is not likely, but let's just for the moment, for a thought experiment, those people will still be those people, and they would have some other way of being those scumbags.
Oh, probably, but I think there would be a far fewer number of them. That's just me. But yes, I think we need to be tougher.
I couldn't agree or disagree. I don't know.
Yeah, because if that dude had tried this in fucking America, man, oh man, he would have a mob of white knights on him.
But there's also an inherent prejudice against Muslims in America, whereas over here we have the opposite problem. Not as bad as Europe, thankfully, but we tend to give too much leeway because, oh, well, it's religion. Oh, well, it's culture, blah, blah, blah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, like we sometimes go a little too far, like in this instance. I think 4 years is way too low, too. And I agree, lock the fucker up. Because if this is his second time around and he's still,
he's just
doing it.
He's just that kind of
person. Exactly. And
also separation of church and state.
But the thing too, which I don't know of the entire case, and maybe that is happening somewhere else, but to me, he should also be being prosecuted for child abuse and sentenced separately to a long prison term on that basis also. So whether that is in the workings for him or not, I don't know, but it certainly should be.
See, one of my biggest pet peeves, I don't know what the Canadians' version of this is, if there is one, but the whole thing about the separation of church and state, which the Christians here, the evangelicals, the fervors, are trying to supposedly fight against, is the meaning of the separation of church and state. Like you said before, you said it clearly. It doesn't matter who you are, what religion you practice, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
That's right.
It doesn't matter who does it. It doesn't matter what religion you practice. You beat on your children. You left them outside, and that's wrong. Period. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's just simply wrong, and you need to be punished for it. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's what the separation of church and state is supposed to be doing here.
Yes.
We will make no laws. The whole thing reads something like, "We will make no laws. Congress will make no laws favoring of any religion, one way or the other." In other words, the law doesn't get it doesn't get changed because of a certain religion. It's a law is a law. No matter what, you're free to practice your religion. That doesn't mean your religion is free to.
And I think this is what a lot of people misconstrue with this whole idea of religious freedom. So, legally speaking, religious freedom does not mean that you get to do or say any fucking thing you want as long as you can prove it's part of your religion. No. Right. What it means is you can openly believe and to a degree practice whatever the fuck you want without being persecuted, like we're talking, arrested, tortured, and executed for that. That's what religious freedom means. It doesn't mean, well, I'm religious. My religion says I should be allowed to leave my children on the porch in the snow because I'm their father. No, that's illegal, and you should be punished for that.
You're bringing harm to another human. You're bringing harm to another living being. It doesn't matter if it's
breaking the damn law.
In fact, there's even the animal police, I call them, the same thing. You can't just because your religion has animal sacrifices, you know, it doesn't mean that you're allowed to do that. Is it? No.
And case in point, there, and especially in America, Rastafarians believe that smoking marijuana is integral to their beliefs. Only till recently would anyone in your entire country be allowed to consider, like, they couldn't go, you know, you got caught with joints in your pocket, you're going to prison. But dude, I'm a Rasta, like, that's my religion. That would never be considered as a defense ever, because everybody agrees that you're supposed to follow that. Well, I don't say everybody agrees with that as far as weed goes, but you're supposed to follow the law. So even though you're claiming that's a religious belief, the law is going to say, well, we don't give a fuck, it's illegal, you're going to jail.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is a whole nother conversation, but
it is totally.
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
about bringing harm to others or other beings, especially humans.
Well,
it's just wrong. There's a thing about the self-defense, for example. You know, that's the whole reason for that. You know, and that's the whole reason behind it. The cop abuse that's going on right now. The cops, shooting people for no particular reason, and this one, you know, the whole thing about the people against cops. And it's not all cops. It's because they have the power, and they're abusing it. You know, self-defense is one thing. You know.
Oh, for sure.
Outright assault is another.
And the thing is, self-defense has a constraint of legal or of reasonable force. So, and we actually go too far the other way with that in Canada. Like, if somebody breaks into your house and you shoot them, you will be prosecuted for attempted murder, most likely. Wow. And that's happened. That's happened before. Yeah, no, that's happened. There was a story.
I'm not a big gun person to begin with, you know.
I'm not either, but there was a story from.
I prefer getting a baseball bat or something and put it behind me.
But even then, like, if you put the guy in the hospital, you could still be charged with assault or attempted murder. Like, there was a story from about 20 years ago that I remember really vividly. It was an elderly man in a small town. I think he was like in his 80s or 90s, like quite elderly. And his family owned a jewelry store in that town. And they had been robbed, I think, 3 times previously. And some kids, like, while he was there, came in to rob his jewelry store, and he shot one of them. And he was prosecuted for attempted murder.
Well,
which I think is utterly disgusting, but whatever.
Yeah.
It can go too far, but within reason, like self-defense, self-defense is not shooting the guy in the back after you've, clubbed him with the baseball bat and he's trying to run away. That's not self-defense. That's, being a murderous dickhead.
Right. There's sometimes it seems like the laws favor the criminal.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it absolutely does. Like this whole idea that
in the case of domestic abuse.
Yes.
There are cases where the woman might have defended herself in some way, whether it be a gun or a baseball bat, and ended up being the one in trouble.
Yeah. Or my biggest pet peeve one is rapists who are given visitation with any child that may have resulted from that assault. Like, that's horseshit. I don't care.
And then it goes then that leans all the way into the religious thing where the woman's not even allowed to get an abortion.
Yeah.
If I was a woman, if I was a woman and had a baby and was pregnant from a rape, and I felt that I didn't want this bastard kid, I would immediately go for an abortion the first chance I got.
And the thing is, they're like, oh, but it wasn't the kid's fault. And you should get, okay, so you want to bring a child into the world whose one known parent quite probably resents them on a good day and thinks of them as something that, reminds them of the most terrible day of their life, on a bad day. And I don't, all those people, well, I had a rape baby and I love it and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'm sure you could eventually do that, but you're not everybody. And a lot of people who feel pressured into that, they're going to grow up resenting that kid. Is that fair to that kid?
But just for quick, I actually brought up that same point to a certain pro-lifer I talked to here online called Antonio Fletcher. And
that guy.
Oh, you know who he is?
Yes, I do.
I think the first time I brought that up to him, he's like, "Well, the rapist's family could be a reminder to the woman. Should we kill the rapist's family too?" I'm like,
"You don't have to look at the rapist's family every fucking day for the rest of your life."
Of all,
exactly.
Life does not start at an erection, anyway.
Yeah.
But let me go the other way with this. Let me go the other way. Look, if I was a woman and I got pregnant, and decided to keep the baby, there might be reasons for that too. I love kids and all that. I might not want to get the abortion.
Absolutely.
But I want to tell you something. Absolutely. I want to tell you something. What if I'm absolutely sure, or at least reasonably certain, that this rapist is a psychopath of some kind? He's not mentally, there's a genetic thing going on. What if that kid is inherits that
exactly
that genetic, I don't want this.
Yeah. There's absolutely that too. And to think of the woman who can say, you know what, I have it in me to love that child and I have it in me to raise that child, but then to force her to deal with that fucking rapist because she has the fortitude to accept that child, that's spitting in the face of that woman's decision.
Right. I mean, I can understand if she wants to go and, during the conviction and the trial of his, the whole rape case, to find out from the doctors whether or not he is actually mentally and possibly genetically, phased that way, and that making the decision whether or not I should get the abortion, that's fine and well. And if he's not, and if he's just a messed up person and psychologically, to, like you said, to have the fervor to love the child and all that and have the baby, but to turn around and have the baby and then, like you said, to be forced to have the rapist, do that, no.
And I'm sorry, I'm thinking forcing sex on another human being kind of precludes you from being a decent parent. I'm just thinking. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that, there's a few states considering that. I think what Patrick just said, that you have to get permission from the rapist to get the abortion.
Yes, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's bullshit. No, it should be the absolute woman's decision, and more power to her if she thinks she can, love the child, whatever. But I think scientifically speaking, if I was the woman, I would definitely look into this person's, psychological background and genetics and things like that to see if it's actually a genetic thing. I might go there. I'm a 58-year-old man, so I really don't know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know what it's like to have a baby,
Well, I was gonna say, here comes the torture part of the hangout.
Yeah. Well, I was seeing oh fuck, there he is, GMAN. Oh god. Oh, no.
He's live right now. I'm not.
I was in a hangout with him last week, and he rage quit.
I was in a hangout with him. I think I want to say like last year. I mean, he probably doesn't remember me, but because he was talking to other people. But yeah, I was in a hangout with him, and oh man, it was something I could have bought a ticket for. It was that good.
Okay, he was in a hangout with a great debate community. There was like, I don't know, 8 or 10 people in there, and he's in a park sitting on a swing, swinging back and forth, which is fine. But the swing needed to be oiled, so it was squeaking every time he moved. And people are like, can you like go sit somewhere else in the park and whatnot? And he's like, I want to be on the swing. And yeah,
I'm just wondering, like, what kind of boss does he have that he can actually do this shit at work? I mean, in case you're wondering, he is at work, by the way.
Oh my gosh. All right, torture away.
So my question for the atheists today is this: if there are no moral absolutes, how is God evil?
Yep.
Like we said that. Like any atheist said that.
That's his question. Oh, Heretic Horn.
Question.
Go ahead, Heretic.
How many times? How many
Oh,
times?
for fuck's sake!
How many times you have to tell this guy that atheism is not a religion? And that's the title of his video, is the most confusing religion in the world.
He doesn't care. He's going to ignore because he's decided what makes a religion. But
It's like this. You see this?
Do you want me to answer this, Heretic, or should I?
oh, go for it.
Okay, G-Man, the reason we say that, quote-unquote, God is evil is because we have empathy and compassion.
Yes, and if we know morality doesn't come from your dumbass God. Okay, we know
There's
this.
no absolutes, by the way.
Exactly. And there's no absolute morality because your God fucking changes his mind. Hello, are you going to argue me that the Old Testament dude and the New Testament dude are not the same guy? And he fucking changed his mind, as every Christian likes to point out. Oh, that was the Old Testament, that's totally different. So even your God does not have an absolute morality.
By the way, what is Yahweh basing his morality on? Does he not base it on himself?
On himself, his own opinions. Yep. Now you may argue that his opinions are perfect, but you have no actual reason to believe that, because all you know, and I'm talking totally hypothetically here, so don't get your panties in a bunch, but if your God, he has to have a source of morale. I lost my train of thought. Oh, for fuck's sakes, looking at that guy in his smug face. But where was I going with that? Fuck.
What I would tell him is,
I'm afraid to talk because I don't want to. I don't want to ruin your train of thought.
Oh no! Fuck! I was like right on.
The thing is that this is what I mean about this whole debate thing. It's like I'm hearing you talk, and I'm hearing Ranger talk, and I'm starting to remember all the stupid talks about stuff in philosophy. And
just real quick, I was going to say that upon my last what I said had last was fuck. Now I lost my train of thought. Yourself.
Yeah. It's like the scourge of G-Man. Go for it.
Since his morality is the Christian God's morality obviously would be subjective, and it cracks me up that he's the moral lawgiver, and I would look at him and say, gee man, you can give you God that fancy useless title all you want, it doesn't mean anything. I can sit here and say that about myself.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say now. All he's got to know about his God is that supposedly his God is vastly more powerful than he is. That doesn't imply perfection at all. Okay? Because I get people, well, what if there's a force out in the universe that's way powerful than us? Isn't that God? I'm like, no, that's being in the universe that's supremely more powerful than we are. That doesn't mean he's fucking God. I can call that whatever I want, but it's not God.
Nope,
The thing is, it's like I said, this talk, it just goes around in circles, and it's like, guess what, G-Man? People wrote that book
with dumbass opinions,
and they translated it 100,000 times, and men wrote that book. Men wrote that book.
Yep.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Because I don't think at the time.
I keep saying, if your God is omnipotent and omniscient, I should be able to open the book and read it and understand exactly what I'm supposed to understand from the get-go.
And the reason why there's so many different conflicts is because so many different people wrote the damn thing.
That's right.
Years apart. The last video I did on G+, when I got tired of the talk, I pulled out one of my science fiction anthology books, and I said, look, the Bible's an anthology, just like this one. And I showed him this anthology of science fiction short stories.
Okay, Heretic Woman, I don't know if you see the video in like the corner here, but he actually spelled Steve's last name wrong. Steve McCready. That's not how you spell it, G-Man.
When was that?
Apparently today. It was today, actually.
Shit! I gotta go watch that later because I'm in a group chat for Great Debate Community, and they already posted the link to the other one of calling it Dragonaut.
Oh yeah. Well, we still have like 5 more minutes to go.
That's fine.
According to you, not me.
Come on. Fucking piece of shit computer.
According to you, you say that God condones rape in the Bible.
He
right?
does.
That's what you guys said, right? Well, I got a problem with that. See, you guys say God is absolutely immoral for allowing rape in the Bible and for condoning it because he doesn't magically come out the sky and stop the event from happening, right? Why is it that I've had numerous atheists, especially in hangouts in the past, where you guys have argued that not in all situations is rape wrong?
What? Nick, give names, please.
Yeah, I mean, like he's just saying you guys say this and you guys say this, right? Right? That's what you say, right? No, I never said that.
Well, here's the thing, though, to give context, and I've seen him do this before. He will ask atheists, I think, one of two situations, which they're not realistic situations. That's why he's had to kick these certain atheists out because they refused to answer. So he's pretty much lying when they say, "Oh, well, atheists say this." No, we haven't. But more to the point, one of the situations is, well, if aliens were gonna blow up Earth, and they said that you had to rape a woman to stop it, would you do it? I'm like, and the other one is, if someone held a gun to your head and said they would spare your life if you raped someone, would you rape someone? I'm like, in both those situations, first of all, both of them are unrealistic.
Right.
And number two, even if
and they're dichotomic.
Yeah, and by the way, even if that situation were to happen, the woman in said situation would obviously consent to that.
Most likely.
Yeah.
She would, as a woman. If somebody said, look, this guy says I have to fuck you to keep the earth from imploding, I'd be like, okay.
Or,
Not my first choice.
Hey, by the way, I'm going to die if I don't have sex with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, not my first choice, but okay, I'd rather not watch you get your brains splattered everywhere, so okay. Right? Yeah. Now, maybe there's a woman out there that might be like, I don't care, whatever, especially if the world's going to implode. That's a little selfish, but okay.
I mean, if you go any further with this conversation, it just gets more and more ridiculous because like Ranger said, it's just
as I said, in both situations, rape would not happen anyway.
Yeah,
sex would be consensual, at least in my opinion.
Now, if we're, you can go crazy and be like, oh, well, it's going to be a woman who's like blindfolded and she can't see or hear anything, doesn't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. It's, when this is the kind of shit that you see in a Saw movie. Okay. Like not something that your average person is going to encounter.
And now that's literally the definition of terrorism.
Yes.
That question that he's asking is literally the definition of terrorism. Do this or you die, and you die anyway, because that's the way they are.
Oh no, it was. I'm glad I'm showing this video because I was going to make a video response to this later. So I mean, any notes I can get, I can add on to the video later.
There you go. Do continue with the absurdity.
If rape isn't wrong in every situation, then rape is not absolutely wrong. It's only wrong according to a person's opinion. That there's nothing wrong with it according to the atheist viewpoint.
Wrong, sir.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
Beg pardon, sir?
I tell you what, G-Man, if let me come over to your house right now or wherever you are right now and put a gun to your head and tell you if you don't stop, spatting out this bullshit, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. You going to stop?
Yeah.
Answer that question.
Well, and the other thing is, too, he keeps talking about, absolutely wrong. I don't know anybody who's ever said that, your God is held to some absolute other than the people that claim he creates an absolute. Like, atheists don't say, well, yeah, the rape in the Bible is absolutely wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, you want me to make...
Definitely wrong.
Make me
but nowhere... Like, for instance... throwing your daughters out to a raving mob to get raped to death is, I'm thinking that's probably wrong. But it doesn't dictate every single scenario ever conceived that might contain a rape.
Yeah, all of a sudden I want to wear the shirt now.
Exactly. I mean, more than that. I mean, it's not that hard to
Yes.
figure out that not only does it cause physical harm, it causes emotional harm. I mean, it's not that hard to
Exactly.
figure out why. I mean, G-Man, if you ever watch the stream, no person anywhere's scratching their head wondering why fucking rape is wrong, or murder, or theft.
And the people who might are fucking locked up, hopefully.
That or seeking serious help. But
Yes.
moving on.
Let's take this even further. Murder isn't even wrong in the atheist worldview.
Oh, shut up.
They believe that
Stop. Just stop.
I
Oh my
can't
God.
even really say. I can't
First
even
of all, it drives me fucking nuts when theists go on about murder because they don't understand what fucking murder means. Murder is an illegal killing. Illegal. So by the very definition of the word murder, it is legally wrong. Okay?
It's not.
So,
It's not actually illegal. Is the wrong word. It's when you take a life.
unlawful.
It is unlawful, but yeah, but when you take a life for no particular reason except to take that life, that's murder. That's
I mean,
the definition of murder.
self-defense.
You know what I'm saying? It's wrong. It's just plain
Well, I
murder.
mean,
Killing
and-
somebody by accident is not murder.
I mean, well, this just may be my view, but I view murder as the intentional taking of life with anything with a conscience. I'm sorry, but we human
Yeah,
beings, we Homo sapiens,
But
as
if you-
they, we kill for our food. We murder other animals
Yeah.
for our food.
Well, if you look at the actual definition, there's two definitions. It's the unlawful premeditated killing of one human by another, and the second definition is to kill someone unlawfully and with premeditation. So that's what murder is. So
Well, here's the
when
thing, though, G-Man, and I've seen him do this before. He'll say, "Well, you know, since it's just unlawful killing, what laws the Christian God under that he can't murder?"
yeah, well, fuck your Christian God because he
Yeah,
doesn't
that's the
exist.
problem I have with the definition using the word law or lawful or unlawful, because then you have to define what's unlawful, and what's unlawful is just the
Well, it changes depending on where you are. So
that's-
using murder in terms of absolutes is ridiculous because the term changes depending on the laws of where you are.
like if you're at war.
I said
If
there
you're,
are.
for example, if you're at war and you're a soldier and you're killing people, you're killing for a reason because you're at war and there's a political thing going on, and you have
Yes.
to. That's
And-
not
and
murder.
legally-
It's not murder, but it is.
That's
murder.
right.
It is murder if that same soldier, for example, there was actually a case going on right now. That same soldier, for example, kills a combatant even after he's down already. You know, just I
Right.
don't like you. Fuck you. You should be dead. You should be dead. If he shot him and you know he was a casualty of the war and he stayed alive, that's part of the war. If he died because of it, that's part of the war. But to walk
Yes.
up to that same person who is not dead but is down, and you walk up to him and blow his head off anyway, that's murder.
Mm-hmm. I could get
That would be
behind
the
that.
unlawful part.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
man.
But this idea that they use murder interchangeably with killing and then harp on the fact that killing can sometimes be justified, whereas murder is always unlawful because that's what the definition of it is.
Right.
So
You
if
use the right word.
if
They use it interchangeably, and it's not interchangeable.
yes, it's not. And if something has been determined to be a murder, then it's already been determined to be immoral because the laws are based on the collective moral standards. Now, not everybody agrees with that in that particular area, or different areas agree on what constitutes a legally acceptable killing.
Right.
And that's why you can't use murder in terms of absolutes anyway.
Right. Well, that's why they came up with the term involuntary manslaughter, because
Yeah.
a bad car accident could be your fault,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
killed somebody because
And
of your
you're
stupidity.
legally binding, but
You didn't
you're
go out and murder that
legally
person. You killed
no
them by involuntarily.
premeditation. If you're murdering
Wow.
someone, you're intending for them to
That's
die.
right. It's premeditation. That's right.
And killing somebody, like in self-defense, or, you know, some of his ridiculous scenarios about, you know, would you shoot a child to save the world from imploding, or some stupid shit like that. You know, that's a whole different ball of wax. So, you know, again, no absolutes, dumbass.
Right. Yeah, it's the premeditation that comes into play.
Yes.
It's the word kill or killed or killing
Woman
that need to be separated.
Yes. Sorry.
isn't wrong in the atheist worldview, but they believe that God is wrong for murdering people. You see, if a woman decides to murder her baby that's inside of her, or kills the baby that's inside of her, that woman is not considered to be an immoral agent.
And there he's using it interchangeably.
That's exactly what they all do.
And in the exact argument where it drives me nuts is when they're abortion is murder. No, it fucking isn't.
You're right. That's exactly the
person. Sorry.
That's exactly what they do.
And I always like to say, and in North America, it is impossible for an abortion to be a murder because it's fucking legal.
Exactly.
If God creates a human being and decides that this person has lived long enough and wants to judge this person and this person dies, God is immoral.
Well, it depends on how that person went about dying in that context. Yeah. I mean, if that person died of a natural cause, I would say, yeah, quote unquote, Yahweh is not evil. But if Yahweh were to send that person a violent death, yeah, that God's kind of a jerk.
Or, you know, childhood cancer.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that absolutely true that God is immoral? If it is absolutely true, and absolutely evil what he's doing, why is that?
Now he's bringing in absolute.
Depends on the context, man.
And it's not. See, here's the thing. Atheists love to pick and choose what's right and what's wrong. They don't have a moral basis for what they're talking about. They can make it up as they go along. That's why you guys got to ask what is the moral basis for their morality.
I'm about to reach through the screens.
As we do, G-Man, you've been asking this.
They don't have a moral base. Where is their moral? Yeah. So your moral base is where? Where you get?
I want to know if we're just making shit up as we go along. Then why do most atheists have almost the same moral standards as your average theist? And in some cases, we kind of go a little above that. Why is that? If we're just making shit up as we want, we're all a bunch of selfish fuckers.
Exactly. And more to the point that I always bring up, why is it that most of these non-religious nations have extremely low fucking crime rates if we're just making it up as we go along?
Exactly.
I mean, again, Canada is what, 75% atheist, and last time I checked, you guys have a pretty low crime rate up there.
Well, it's weird to sort of say what the religiosity is definitely low. What people profess to believe, I think it's not nearly that high, but certainly the religiosity is quite low. I mean, you know, I walk around with fucking atheist shirts on all the time, and you know, the only time I get a bit of a double take is usually somebody wearing a bunch of religious clothing, you know, like an Amish or a Muslim or somebody who's like advertising, look how pious I am.
Yeah.
Going to be all over the place with you in a conversation. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking like atheism has to be, especially you knuckleheads out there that like to argue subjectivism all the time. Atheism has to be the most confusing religion on the planet.
Found a religion.
Muslims,
there it is. Why I can't stand this. Turn this off.
We know what our moral basis is. When I talk to any other religion out there, I know what their moral basis is.
You don't know shit. Come on, please. You're torturing me.
You don't know a damn thing.
The thing is, I've had arguments with this guy for the same thing, and I told him that's the problem with what you're saying, G-Man, because it's not a religion, and it doesn't. Here it is, 3 years after I told him this, and he's still saying the same thing.
I want to know.
Supreme Court. That's why.
I want to know what the Catholic Church's moral basis is. Because they sure seem to be fucking lacking one. And yet they're supposed to get it out of the same God, the same book that you got. So what the fuck's up with that?
According to GMAN, Catholics aren't real Christians. He's one of those guys.
Of course, the No True Christian game.
Yes, he's one of those Christians.
I'm not one to stick up to the Catholic religion, but I mean, I was born and raised. I mean, I shouldn't say born, but I was raised Roman Catholic.
The only experience I have with Roman Catholic, I can never say that with Roman
Catholicism.
Thank
Catholicism.
you. fuck my autism, seriously. Is that I actually played basketball for like 3 seasons for a Catholic church.
Right.
I never actually went to the church, but it was kind of like a public.
I was, I'm Italian, and I was raised Roman Catholic, and by the time I was 12 years old, I kind of like forgot about it. I actually made my communion. I actually made my confirmation, which was a bunch of bullshit because I didn't know half the shit that the bishop was asking us, and I didn't give a shit. I just, sat there and got my little thing or whatever. Shortly thereafter, there was this catechism thing. After school, you go to this. Yep. I guess it's like a Bible thing, in the school system of the church right across the street from the grammar school. And one day, I was around 12. I just stopped going. And my mother says, "How come you're not a catechism?" I says, "Because I don't feel like going anymore." And that was the end of it.
That's good.
That was, not that she's an atheist or was, I should say. My mother's passed away recently.
But it wasn't a big deal.
It wasn't a big deal, right? But the rest of my siblings, and I got 5 siblings, are not of my way of thinking. Yeah, they're still, so. I get slack for it, not in the major way like some of these people I feel bad for, some of these, but I get slack for it all the time.
Seem to be the only people on the planet that when you talk to them about morality, it's wrong if God does it, but if a human being does the same thing, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
G-Man, no atheist anywhere has ever said that. Ever.
I sure as hell haven't.
It puts words in our mouths. And it pisses me to fuck off.
Oh, and what's even more amusing, and I think Dragnut brought up this point. Yeah, he sits there and says all this crap, but then he pretty much gets an aneurysm when certain atheists out there do the exact same thing to Christians.
Yeah,
there are Christians out there. There are religious people out there on Google Hangouts who can't stand G-Man.
Oh yeah, I've met a few of them.
Oh yeah, I've even got like private messages from Christians and comments on my videos concerning this guy, saying that, actually apologizing for G-Man, saying this guy's a disgrace to our religion.
This is why, I know you do this every Sunday and you pull up these ridiculous people, but this is why I say if you give these people, the more attention you give these people, the more they're prominent in the so-called community. Just like ignore him and it'll go away. Don't even pull him up anymore.
In the Great Debate Community Wiki, he is listed under the Clown Car Posse.
Yeah, trust me, no one's taking him seriously. It's like it's like looking at a seal, pretty much.
But you know what? I bet you he's making money on this. I bet you YouTube has a paycheck for him every fucking month.
Well, my videos are monetized, luckily.
Yeah.
And as you as an atheist, if you're not feeding hungry people, that means that you are clear and God should be considered evil for allowing that.
Who says atheists aren't feeding people?
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think that
and why is he holding us to the same standard as his God?
Wait a minute. You gotta let me respond to that one.
Go for it.
Let me maximize my screen so I can read it off the screen.
Oh, your shirt, yes.
Yeah. Somewhere. Wait, how did I do this? I can't see backwards on the.
There you go.
Yeah. If you are hungry, I will offer food. If you are thirsty, I will offer water. If you are cold, I will offer warmth. If you are in need, ask and I will help. If you are in trouble, ask and I will help. Ask and I will give, and ask and I will help. I do not do these things in the hopes of being rewarded or out of fear of being punished. I do these things because I know them to be right. There's my moral standard. I set my own standards and I alone enforce them. I am an atheist.
Exactly.
That's what I would like to
seems
show
about
G-Man.
right.
Unfortunately, that's just a video.
And that's the thing he doesn't seem to understand is it doesn't matter with his absolute shit or whatever. When it boils down to it, at the very base of it, it's all about I need to do XYZ or I'll get burned in hell forever, or I need to do XYZ because I want to kiss up to God, or I'm going to get rewarded in heaven if I do this.
Not that you're a good person because your own brain says this is wrong and that's right.
I remember seeing that when I was in with the Calvinists when I was a teenager, and the girl I was friends with who'd been raised in that sect, and she, they tried to encourage us to evangelize and witness and all this shit. And she always used to tell me, she never once said to me, we should witness to people because it's the right thing to do to tell them how to avoid eternal damnation. She said, oh, did you know that if you win enough souls to God, you'll get a special crown in heaven? That was the motivation I was handed.
That kind of talk is what disgusts me.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like, oh, I legitimately don't want people to be tortured for all eternity, and I want to help them avoid that out of because I like people. It was, there's something really awesome in it for you if you do it.
Yeah, you know what gets me is that I talked about, like, I gave the example of that family, the girl I was teaching.
Yeah.
On the lighter side of that, the old Catholicism, Roman Catholic, it starts very lightly. It starts with God gave me a wonderful child and everything. It's not that she is a wonderful kid. It's not that it's not that you raised her to be so wonderful, which means that you're probably a wonderful person yourself. No, it's God that gave it to you. Like, no, that sounds okay, almost, right?
Almost.
But that's where it starts, and then the next step is, and then after that comes to what you were just talking. In other words, God is going to give you a special crown. You know what I'm saying? It starts at the very light.
Oh, yeah.
God gave me a wonderful. No, these kids were this kid I was teaching was a terrific kid. I mean, I really loved. I fell in love with the family. I adopted them, jokingly, sort of.
Yeah.
And it's not because God did it. It's because she was raised that way. She is that kind of person herself. You know what I mean? And because she's your daughter, she probably is a lot like you. I didn't say that to her, but that's what I wanted to say to her. You know what I mean? But no, God gave me this wonderful.
Well, and it's always, if good shit happens, it was all God. But if something bad happens, well, that's your fucking fault.
Yeah.
Because you're a screw up human.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, G-Man's like that.
It's just ridiculous. I think that the atheist community needs to rethink what it means to be objective in their morality and what it means to be subjective in their morality, particularly subjective, because 99.9% of them that are out there believe that morality is subjective, that it's according to one's own opinion, own personal ideas about morality.
Just throw this number and percentage out there just because he said so.
Oh, I know. And but get this, even if what he says is true, let's say so 99% of us believe that whatever we think is right is moral. And yet, so how many of us go around breaking the law 24/7?
Not very many of us.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, exactly. I was going to say that, again, another statistic. Again, if we atheists are so moral, why is it that, at least in the U.S., I can't speak for Canada, obviously, but in the U.S., atheists take up less than 1% of the prison population.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be like that here, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And morality is subjective. God isn't evil. You can't say he's evil, because the morality is only dependent.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. For the same reason we can say Darth Vader.
I don't say that. I don't say that because there is no fucking God.
Well, there is no God. So when we say
he's not anything because he's not there.
But when we say, quote, God is evil, what we're saying is the God that you have presented to us as being real is fucking evil.
Yeah, G-Man, when we talk about that, and he fails to understand this, when we talk about that, we're talking about the character of the God you present, not an actual.
They don't seem to understand hypothetical very well.
They can't.
No, they don't.
People like G-Man cannot understand that we don't believe in God. I don't believe in ghosts, fairies, you know,
leprechauns, hobgoblins.
Yes.
They're fun to write about, little fairy tales and stuff. But
you know, underpants gnomes. You know,
upon a person's opinion. If God believes that there's nothing wrong with wiping out the planet with a lightning bolt, you can't say anything about his morality. The same way God couldn't say anything about your morality if you chose to steal, kill, or whatever. And that's the atheist worldview. That's not my worldview. You see, I believe.
Who talk about atheist worldview? God.
Well, for one,
you know what? I'm gonna go take a piss. And I'm not gonna anymore. I'll be right back.
What does this come with that we all have the same fucking quote worldview? Like,
okay, well, atheism is not a worldview. Number one, and number two,
no.
I think the word he should be using is secular at best. But again, this is the same dude who gets bent out of shape whenever atheist. And by the way, there are some in the community that may be guilty of this by doing what he's doing, you know, making claims that most Christians don't make. Maybe there are some atheists out there that do that. Most of us don't. Most of us actually stick to claims you've heard a million times fucking before.
Yeah.
And for the billionth fucking time, do not speak for us. Stop doing that.
And he has the right to tell us what to do and what we can't do. It's pretty simple. When you talk to an atheist, man, it gets really complicated. It's according to your opinion, depending on what time of the day it is, whether or not they have their period or not, depending on what mood they're in, how they're feeling. Do they like this Christian?
No, it depends on something called context and nuance, something you clearly have no understanding of, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there was somebody in the chat who said that God is evil, like Darth Vader is evil.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't even checked the chat.
Booleanator.
It just depends on how they feel. It's just a stupid worldview to have. Now I can hear them now. Oh, you know, G-Man. You know, atheism isn't a worldview. Stop. Think about what you're saying. Everybody has a worldview. You're an atheist that has a view of the world without God in it. Stop it.
No.
I don't look at the world as an atheist, you fucking idiot. I look at the atheist to a fucking human being.
Ay. Fucking hell.
According to you, anyway. I got my own opinions about you. So, I just wanted to make this video. You know, atheism has just got to be the dumbest thing walking on this planet. Because
that's projection, sir.
They're telling you to give up your Christianity.
Who? When have any atheist ever said that? I wish you would walk away from
I like
the
how
faith.
he's the arbiter of what a worldview is, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am G-Man. I know everything what atheists think, and I know what the worldview is. I know what they are, and 99% of them are like this, and these are absolutes. And
oh fuck.
Well, that's enough. At least enough torture from him. I got Brian Fisher next.
Oh fuck.
Oh, but this one's good though. It says opposition to gay rights is a test of who will what did he say? Of who will govern when Christ returns.
And I think one of the things that's important for us to understand is that when Christ returns, he is going to rule on the surface of the earth. The kingdom of God is going to come in its complete form to earth, and he is going to be asking us to help him run things. We're now going to be under Christ's reign in positions of authority to help him manage and direct and govern the kingdom of God as it comes
what
to
did
earth.
I do with that tinfoil hat?
Okay, first of all, that is completely wrong. That is completely wrong because according to your own holy book, I think Jesus comes back to fucking battle Lucifer,
Some shit like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's not. And I think he pretty much asks what little Christians are on Earth to join his fucking army. You're gonna be fighting. You're not gonna be ruling, sir.
As it is administered on Earth, we're going to be there to help him do that. And so, what this life is really all about, it's not just about meeting Christ. We can float around on a cloud somewhere playing harps. That's not what the future is about. The future is about Christ reigning on this earth with us as a part of his administration in our resurrection bodies. This is after we have been raised and received our new bodies. If we're alive when he comes, we're going to be changed in the twinkling of an eye. We'll be in our resurrection bodies, and we will be there to assist him finally.
Okay.
Wow.
I really have to find that damn tinfoil hat.
I know. What the fuck, dude? A resurrect? I don't even know what he would look like resurrected. Oh my god.
Oh no, but they think that when you get resurrected, you get a magic perfect body. So none of the zombie shit where everybody's all rotty. You're gonna be all look like supermodels.
Yeah, and I'm pretty. First of all, and by the way, just FYI, at least last time I checked, according to the Bible, Christians don't go to heaven until Christ returns anyway.
There you go.
For the first time in history, the earth is going to be run right, and we get to be a part of that. And that's the long range.
Okay, if people like you are going to be running it, then no thanks.
Get me the fuck out of here.
I think I will take that ticket to Mars.
I was like,
I'll be taking that ticket to hell.
Can I go to hell, please? Please.
Hey, Lucifer, how's it going?
No, there is no hell. There is no heaven. People like this are going to run the world. Then I want to.
I just want to be as far the fuck away from these assholes as possible. I don't care where it is.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if Lucifer is like the guy in the show, I don't know if any of you guys have watched that. If Lucifer's like that dude in the show, awesome. I'd be more than happy to hang with him.
Picture that God is working. So what's going on in this life is designed by God to be like grammar school, like elementary school. The day's going to come when we graduate, and he wants.
At least he's funny.
Yeah, I mean, some of us have already graduated from elementary school, sir.
He's funny until he starts saying that gays deserve to be put to death, because I'm familiar with this fucker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not confusing him with Theodore Schubert?
No, I'm talking about Fisher.
Okay, well, I haven't seen a lot of Fisher, so I don't know.
Schubert is Johnny come lately. This old fucker's been at it for a lot longer.
And wise enough to help him manage affairs on earth. So that's what this life is all about. It's preparing us to exercise authority in the age to come. So,
well, then let me sub by saying that is one sad, pathetic life you have there, Brian.
Yeah.
Educate us, to enable us to learn things, to mature us through adversity and trial, have us walk through the fire, to test us, to see if we have the courage of our own convictions.
Okay. Is your fucking God not supposed to know everything already? Doesn't he already know this shit? Like, why do we need a fucking test?
Yeah, and not only that, Jesus needs our help to run the planet.
Yeah, like, what happens to, he's God. He can just, like, snap his fingers and shit happens. But he needs an army of people to run stuff. Okay.
Makes total sense.
All about. So when we talk about the issues that ought to be exemplified, the values that ought to be enshrined in our culture, this is all part of us being prepared to exercise authority in the age to come. So we know kingdom values. We know what kingdom values are. We know what the standards for a society ought to be. So when we get our turn to administer and to guide and to govern, we will know the policies, the standards that a society ought to embrace. And these are the standards that will be embraced in the age to come. So what Christ is doing is looking at us now and saying, okay, who among all of my followers in this age, who can I find that I can trust?
You have to go look for people to trust your fucking God.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Holy shit.
I watched this video earlier. I told you it was good.
Oh, fucking hell.
I gotta find something to eat.
Jesus has to go find
a Booleanator says, omnipotent. You keep using that word, but I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah.
I'll be
Nice.
I'll leave it on. I'll listen.
To come. Who among my followers today understands and knows the truth? Who among my followers today is demonstrating the wisdom that I need to have and people I'm going to have as a part of my administration? Who among my followers today has the courage of his convictions to stand for the truth and to refuse to do anything against the truth, but has a resolve to do things only for the truth? Those are the kind of people that I'm going to need in my administration in the age to come. So that's kind of a big picture of what Christ is all about in this age. So we talk about issues like homosexuality and standards for marriage and sexuality and all that stuff. This is all a part of God preparing us to help him run the world right for the first time.
Wow.
Okay, well, why does he need to go looking for people? Shouldn't he already know who those people are?
Yes. Hello.
That makes no sense to me.
What a fucking moron.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah, my God can do everything but find people that he wants
trust.
to help him.
Yeah.
Yeah, find people he can trust.
Yeah.
Even though he created them. Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, by the way, I don't know if you're a big Linkin Park fan, but did you hear about Chester Bennington?
Yes, yes.
I was fucking heartbroken.
Yeah, I honestly don't know much of their stuff, but I mean, that's awful anyway.
No, I can honestly say that their music got me through middle school, because
no.
I mean, I got picked on quite a bit in middle school.
Right.
And I guess their music was kind of like my cocaine.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It sucks, but... And then you get the dickwads that are like, oh, he has 6 kids. What a coward. He abandoned his family. Like, you don't fucking know a goddamn thing about depression then, if that's what you think, you piece of shit. That's all I had to say about that.
Oh, Boonlina wants to join the hangout?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Alrighty, well, see if I can try to add him.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, that pissed me the fuck off when there was a meme going around with a picture of Chester and his family, and it was like, you know, what a coward to abandon his family. And I was like, you fucking piece of shit. How dare you? And the thing that they don't understand, because my father committed suicide, and I also lost a dear friend in college to suicide. They don't understand that when you go around accusing people who and I think of them as a victim of suicide or of mental illness, you accuse them of being cowards and selfish bastards and whatnot. All you're doing is hurting the survivors, because they loved those people.
Exactly.
Those were their fathers and brothers and mothers and sisters and whatever. They loved those people. And for you to go around saying, well, you know, your daddy didn't love you enough to live. What the fuck do you think that does to a child? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, I had a grandfather on my mother's side. He committed suicide. I had a friend from high school. 6 months after graduation, he hung himself.
Yeah.
And what's worst of all, his mother found him.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah. And they're like, oh, those people don't give a shit about the people they leave behind. No, they have convinced themselves that they are doing the best thing possible for the people that they're leaving behind. Like I've never experienced depression on that level at all. But my friend whom I lost, before the year before he died, you know, what he would do is when he was having a depressive episode, he would take off. He would vanish, and no one would know where he was for several days. Or at one point, I think he vanished for 3 weeks. And I mean, he was an adult, and even though a young adult, and so, you know, there was only so much that could be done, whatever. But I remember talking to him, and because I didn't understand, because I've never experienced this kind of stuff. So I wanted to understand, and I talked to him, and I was thinking he's a bright young guy who was on his way to going to teachers college, and, you know, he had friends and people who loved him and cared for him, and I didn't understand it. And he said, you know, it's just this overwhelming feeling that I get. And he said, when I go off by myself, I'll be walking down the street, and I will look down at the sidewalk and not just think, but I will know that the sidewalk has more value to the world than I do. That's not just oh, I feel shitty today kind of thing. That is a medical problem. You can't know that. And for some asshole who's never experienced anything like that to come along and say, oh, well, they're just a coward, lazy, and they took the easy way out, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Sorry, that's a huge peeve of mine.
Yeah.
I hear you.
You know, take a minute to talk to somebody who actually goes, you know, who actually has experienced this. Talk to, you know, professionals who treat people who experience this before you go, you know, making your dumbass, ignorant judgments about people. There was one guy I got into a Facebook argument with, and he was like, well, I'm a father and I would never abandon my children. And I'm like, until you've experienced this, which is a fucking medical condition, you don't know what the hell you would do. And if you thought that by erasing yourself from the planet that you would give the best life possible for your children, I bet you probably would. But he took it as like a personal affront as a father that someone might commit suicide. Like, well, I'm not like that. Well, maybe you aren't, maybe you are, but who the fuck are you to judge?
Yeah, true.
Anyway, I know you're trying to figure out how to get Booleander in here.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean,
that's okay.
If there's any something else you want to talk about, just
I was going to ask Eric a question real quick, totally
yes,
off the subject.
Please.
He's doing whatever.
Sure.
I noticed that your camera has autofocus.
Yes. Yes.
What brand of camera is that?
This is a Microsoft LifeCam Cinema.
Oh. Okay.
It's actually a little bit older, and I've been thinking about possibly replacing it soon, maybe.
Because I've been doing these videos, or I've been trying to do these other videos other than chess. I got this Magic the Gathering thing going on. I'm trying to show cards, and I noticed that these guys at the stores have these wonderful high definition cameras that autofocus and everything. And I try to prop this camera up. I pull it over here and I put it facing the table and all this, and I'm getting no focus whatsoever what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, this was my second camera because I have the old version, which was not even, this is 720. Right. The other one's 480. So this one's a bit better. I look pretty good. I guess.
This is a 720.
That's a 720?
Yeah.
But it has autofocus. It
has autofocus.
And this one does not. And this is a Logitech. Actually, I'll show you the old one. It looks almost the same as the new one. I say new, but it's not really new. It looks a lot like this one.
Okay.
Black front instead of silver.
Right.
Okay. And, you know, it's got the same exact.
Well, I just sent the dude an invitation.
Okay.
What?
Send him an invitation, so hopefully Blue.
No, go ahead.
Oh. Yeah, so neither one of these have autofocus. At least I don't think this does anyway. But
so I will.
The problem when I was trying to do those videos that I did, I was showing the chessboard just earlier, and I was trying to do magic cards.
This is what mine looks like.
Oh, I never buy anything from Microsoft, but that looks pretty nice.
The reason I picked that is when I used to do call center training. I did international training, and I would often have to do training on webcam. And the company actually bought that particular webcam for me to use if I was doing training over the internet. And so I was familiar with it, and I liked the quality of it at the time. And so I thought it was a good choice for me because I already knew how to use it and stuff. And I also like, if you saw the way it was standing on that sort of curved thing, that's flexible. So you can curve it around stuff. You can flatten it out and do whatever with it. So it's easy to mount on various surfaces. So it was in 2011, 10, it was like $80.
Oh shit!
And when I bought this one, which is like 2.5 years ago at least, it was 60 Canadian. So it had gone down quite a bit in price by then. So you could probably get one pretty cheap on eBay.
Well, that's why I got the two that I got. The first one I got because I needed a camera. I was just starting on Google Hangouts, like 4 years ago, and it was $20 on sale clearance. Okay,
yeah.
Enough. Then I realized it was kind of grainy. And so I need something a little bit better, but I don't have a lot of money. So about a year or so later, a year and a half, 2 years later, I said, well, here's another one. Same exact configuration, 720 pixels. About $20, $30. I said, okay, I'll take that one now.
No, yeah. For sure.
And then I realized that some people have autofocus, and I don't have autofocus. What's going on here? Now I got to go out and see if Staples has another one for $20 or $30.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Do you have audio, sir?
I should have it. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
can.
Okay.
There you go.
Good evening or morning or whatever it is where you're at.
Well, good morning to you. Do you mind if I just call you David, or?
Yeah, you can call me David. That's fine.
Oh, cool. Well,
Hi, David.
Always nice to meet a fan, buddy. How's it going?
It's going good, huh? I saw you guys. I was on earlier when you got cut off. I don't know what happened there.
Well, I was going to say technical difficulties, but I actually got sniped by Reese.
Yeah, we all got sniped. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, in the middle of my sentence.
Yeah, I know. Poor Patrick.
I was like, I was all pissed off. I was like, what? You motherfucker.
But no, back on the suicide thing. Every time somebody says that suicide is selfish to me that is like, do you not understand that somebody who's followed through with that has overcome their instinct for self-preservation? Imagine how much crap it would take to do that to you and understand that that's what happened to them.
Exactly.
Don't talk about it being selfish. That's ridiculous. That's insane.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And the other thing that really irks me that comes from a lot of these people is this notion that we are expected to live for someone else. Now, children, I can kind of get that. But really, like when people say, well, what about your mother? Or if you commit suicide, you're going to hurt your friends and blah, blah, blah. Well, you're not here to live on behalf of other people, right? We choose to give of ourselves to each other as much as we can, but we're not obligated to do so.
Right. I mean, at some point, that person has to give you the respect you're due.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're not due it. They're not due the respect. So I mean, I've actually gotten to a point with certain people in my family, for that matter, that just they're not due respect at a certain point.
Absolutely.
And some of that comes from being an atheist, as a matter of fact. So.
I can imagine.
I mean, I got like a triple strike against me. I'm an atheist, I'm gay, and I'm autistic. So, and I just found out at 44 that I was autistic, and that was like
wow.
7 years old for me.
17, you said, Ranger?
No, I said I got diagnosed with autism at 7, but I didn't get diagnosed with Asperger's until I think 13.
Okay.
Which, by the way, to David, I'm 26. I am also atheist, obviously, and bisexual.
Huh, interesting. You know, I'm finding a lot of atheist and autistic atheist people out there, and it's kind of like, is this a trend?
I have no idea. I wish I can give you statistics.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been so little research done into autism that it's such an unknown, I think.
Yeah, and of course, there's people who obviously think we're just faking it, which is complete bullshit. I mean,
I smack those people too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I certainly didn't seek the diagnosis at 44. You know, I didn't seek it because I was feeling okay and I just wanted attention. That's not it at all. I mean, I had some other problems that kind of spurred it on. I'm also epileptic, and I had a massive seizure, and I was having problems after that massive seizure. So both the problems being neurological in hindsight makes perfect sense. But if you don't know, I spent an incredible amount of time trying to find neurological epilepsy-related reason for the problems I was having. I was like, is it interictal dysphoric disorder? Is it persistent deja vu? Is it all this, that, and the other? And you know, I went to a psychologist, and the psychologist knows this is not a psychological problem. And the psychologist says, go see a neurologist. Neurologist kept saying, no, this is not a neurological problem. Go see the psychologist. I went back and forth for years, and finally I got it in my head. I went and saw. I don't know if you've ever heard of Eli the computer guy.
No.
But he does tech stuff, and I'm an IT geek. That's my niche. I know probably 12 computer languages, and
oh wow,
that's kind of my thing. And I was watching it, and he said, well, he was in the Army, and it clicked. It's like, wait a second. I don't really know that much about autism, but everybody I've ever asked says there's no way you could be autistic because X, Y, and Z. I'm like, but what makes them the expert?
Yeah.
I realized they weren't. There weren't. There's only one expert, and there's people who dedicated their careers into diagnosing it. And I went and saw one of them, and they said, yes, it's mild. Obviously, but mild only means, hey, you could talk to people like I'm talking to y'all. And
exactly. It means that we don't, in sort of an ableist kind of language, it means that, well, you're mild because you can pass for, quote, normal.
Right. I'm a good actor.
Yeah, that would be my takeaway from that.
And by the way, to any idiots out there who actually think autism is a fake thing, why don't you look it up? Because last I checked, when it comes to autism, there's actually a strong genetic component to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds
me. Go ahead.
I just saw a post today on G+. I didn't read it. You know, I just sort of passed over it. It was one of those memes. Something about scientists just discovered that autism was caused by the mercury inside of vaccines. Those fucking anti-vaxxers are at it.
Oh, fuck off.
Don't give me that shit.
I know. I'm
fucking Jenny McCarthy.
It just reminded me of the stupidity that's out there.
The mercury that's in that is fucking harmless to humans. I mean, mercury is obviously toxic, but not at that very insignificant level.
I don't even know if there's any. There's not mercury in every one of them, and I think the amount of mercury that's in one of them is in the point several zeros something percent, and it's like.
And by the way, the small amount of mercury that is in some of them, it's only to preserve it longer.
And not only that, I'd be more worried about the mercury you get when you eat fish.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
I
You
hate
about to say
fish.
something?
I was going to say the study that tried to link, vaccines to autism has already been debunked by several hundred other studies with multiple more patients.
Well, yeah, I was.
But don't you know that was a global conspiracy to discredit him because Big Pharma didn't want all his information? Like,
It's like I said,
global conspiracy,
Going-
the crime of the press.
I was scrolling down the G Plus, because I haven't been on it for a while, and today I was scrolling down, and when you said the vaccine, it just reminded me. I mean, when you said the mercury, it just reminded me. I was scrolling down, and I saw the meme, and I didn't even click on it to read the whole thing because I was that disgusted at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My co-host Beth, she follows the anti-vax nut jobs pretty closely, and she's done a lot of blogging about it. And some of the if you guys are familiar with the Miracle Mineral Solution, which is basically a somewhat diluted bleach solution that they are giving to children in enemas because they think it will cure their autism.
Oh God!
No, I haven't, and they should be fucking arrested. I mean, that's no different from. I mean, I think a while ago I mirrored this televangelist that got fucking exposed.
Yes.
That is
It's
no different from that.
It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And what's worse is, obviously it's very, very unpleasant for these kids. But if you think of the mindset of the parent who thinks my child being different is so terrible that I'm going to shove bleach up their ass and hope that they're not different anymore. Like, what kind of fucking mindset is that?
Well, none of that is going to make them worse. I mean,
Yes.
autism is like Asperger's syndrome. It's a fucking social development disorder. So that's even going to make it that could possibly regress.
Absolutely. And a lot of kids have sensory issues. So making them feel more pain is going to help that shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like for me, I mean, even though I love going to concerts, I cannot stand like loud, screechy noises. That's one of the things that just I cannot stand.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I was undiagnosed with a mild case because I am the same way. Noisy crowds and stuff. There was a time when I was little, my hearing was always very sensitive. No longer because I've got tinnitus now. But when I was small, my father used to fix up the house all the time. He used to use a lot of hammer and nails. My ears used to hurt every time I hit the nail with the hammer. I used to have to close my ears.
Oh,
yeah. It was. Sometimes I wonder if I was undiagnosed.
For me, it was wind in the air. It was wind. It was always like if the wind was blowing and it caught my ears, that wind in your ear sound.
Oh,
that
used to
drive me nuts.
That too. In fact, to this day, if you're driving in a car with the windows open, I got this subsonic problem. But there's a cure for that. You can open up the back window and the air flows better, and you don't get that.
Well, you're talking about pressure differential, but I mean. Just the regular wind, the rushing noise.
Yeah, the rushing across the ear, like in the wintertime, you gotta.
Yeah. I don't this is what burns my ass, is this idea that anybody who's different needs to be cured of being different. I hate that shit. I'm like, I want
back to the Dark Ages.
I know. Oh, I know. And I did a video about it last year, and I talk about why, the conformity idea and tribalism was necessary, eons ago. Because, and if you were a Neanderthal walking down the road and you came across somebody you didn't know, chances are they might try and kill you and steal your food or whatever, because that's how it was.
No, Atheist Ranger, I can't.
No, I can't hear you. I hear typing. But I don't know if that's you.
You came in a second time, though.
Okay. Okay,
That's
well, he's
fine.
gonna
I didn't
refresh.
interrupt you. He
He's
was
gonna
asking.
refresh. That's fine. But this notion that we need to cling to this idea of conformity is just not. It's long gone. We don't need that shit anymore. In fact, I want everybody to be as different as they want to be or can be, because I think that makes life so much more interesting. You
There
know?
was a Twilight Zone about that. You know, if everybody was listening.
Hello.
There you are.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yay!
you were in here twice, and one of you was asking.
Yeah, it was like there was a ghost ACS Ranger.
Yes. That will sometimes happen if you're doing that. I don't think he can hear us.
Testing 1 2. 'Twas the night of the king's castration. 'Twas to be his last ball. All the upcounts, miscounts, discounts, and no accounts were sitting at the round table playing camel crabs. For those days, bullshit had not yet been invented.
I swear, Google's being a bastard tonight.
I was already on Steve McRae's call with rationality rules, and
oh, you were over there. I didn't. I slept in too late for that one.
yeah,
Fuck.
this is like my third hangout on YouTube, and it's kind of interesting experience. I think I like it. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with my own channel. I have one video up about net neutrality, and
that's okay. I mean, just hanging out like this and talking amongst us. I mean, I've been a member of the Great Debate community for a couple of months, and I'm really enjoying it. And there's a lot of interesting people and some really fucked up people, but you know, it runs the gambit.
Well, that debate was pure semantics. Yep. It drove me nuts. I was just sitting there. There was a couple times I interjected, but it was like, those people are going to sit there and split those hairs till they're blue in the face.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes, if you do have stuff to say, you just got to, be loud and obnoxious like I try to be. But, there's some crazy people in there. Ranger, I can hear typing. I think things might have gotten fucked up on his end.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
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 Let me turn my
I can't hear you.
On.
That's the problem I'm having.
Turn your volume up.
I need to get my nails done. I'm trying to type fast and they're too fucking long and I keep fucking up. Duh, first world problems, man. My nails are too fucking long, so I can't type on a hangout. Oh, there's David. Hello.
Yeah, I just turned my camera on. I figured it was time to let you guys see me.
That's what you look like.
No worries. No worries.
I already told you I had a video up. It's not like you couldn't go look it up yourself. I'm not doxing myself.
That's true. I don't assume that everybody's going to be visible on their videos, though. Too.
It's funny when you hear somebody but you don't see them, and you sort of have a picture in your head of what they look like, but then it all depends on what the audio is like too. And your audio isn't that great, so
you already saw me
in a different picture of you, and then you came on camera. I'm like, oh, that's what you look like.
I was actually that baby in the picture. That was me, but that was like
I figured that.
I wasn't sure what was going on there.
That was my aunt trying to feed me, my Aunt Louise. But she's, I wonder if Asia's Ranger has any other videos for us to look at, because what really got me was GMAN talking about our position as if he knows anything about our position. But what really got me into the atheist, I was religious. I mean,
okay.
But what kind of really just flipped my switch, I saw Aaron Ra and Godless Engineer, their little collab that they did. It wasn't really a collab; it was one of these things. But
right,
they sat and they talked about it, and Aaron Ra is very convincing. He really is.
Mm-hmm. He is, and he is a lot of fun to talk to, for sure. I've had the pleasure of meeting him twice now. No, 3 times.
I would love
3
to meet
times.
him sometime. Hopefully, I can get some mobility here pretty soon. Here, and I don't have a car. I'm kind of stuck in St. Petersburg right now, but
Okay,
that could
that's
change.
that's in the as in south and humid St. Petersburg, and not the cold and frigid St. Petersburg.
Yeah, the United States, Florida one.
Yeah,
I met him once at the 2012 Reason Rally in Washington, D.C.
I'm in Canada. I'm about an hour southwest of Toronto.
Well, Godless Engineer, I'm actually on his Facebook page. So I kind of, he was talking about on one of his live streams. He live streams on Facebook.
Right.
I always try to attend those. And he was talking about something that's happening in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, yes. I'm actually hoping to go to that. The myth information. Sorry, my cat is kicking me in the head right now. Hello, kitty. Yeah, that's the Myth Information Conference coming up on September 30th. I'm hoping to get out to that.
I'm hoping I can, if my transportation gets sorted by then. Although the longer this goes on, with, of course, transportation getting sorted is directly related to money getting sorted.
Of course.
It's directly related to our lovely VA system.
My husband's showing off his badass kitty tattoo. Yeah, we're a cat family, in case you hadn't noticed. Hey, I know. He's going to bed, I think. Or soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
Can you hear us, ACS Ranger?
Talk, Ranger, because we could hear you before. I don't know what the fuck happened, man. Oh, that sucks.
Well, if he can't hear, if he's answering me, I said make sure you can hear other computer sounds. If he's answering that, then there's something on the whole system that's not. The volume's not up. The speakers.
He may have to reboot.
Something like that.
He may have to reboot. I'm looking at. I do a show called Beyond the Trailer Park on Monday nights, and I'm looking at because I'm a manager on the Great Debate Community community channel. And I'm thinking about starting to do after shows of my show over there on Monday, but late because I'm like a major night owl. Like it's midnight and I'm not even thinking about going to bed for hours. And hours, and my cat's playing with me. I don't know, Ranger. What are we gonna do here? You can type me a message. Oh, he can't hear me. Fuck.
Tell him who could type faster than me. Tell him to check the settings on the Google Hangout.
I did that already.
Make sure you set it to the speaker output is.
That's what I told him, but I don't know that he got that.
Okay, you guys can hear me though, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Well, I can't hear you. Let me explain very, very simply. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my computer. Not even YouTube videos are making noises. So I think there's something wrong with my volume. I'm gonna have to kill the broadcast. To anyone watching, thank you for watching. I would give my co-host here time to pump their channel, but I wouldn't be able to know when they're done talking. So maybe another time.
Beyond the Trailer Park,
Reality
Mondays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Reality Sunday. Let me. I'll see all you fans later.
Okay.